Greetings, my little Grimblies. Welcome to my video on how to play Diplomacy. If you're here, you're either someone I know, or you're not, in which I would ask you to leave now. Okay, now how to play Diplomacy. Diplomacy is like a mix of Risk and Secret Hitler. The whole point is you start as one of 7 great powers in Europe in spring of 1901. And the whole point is to get 18 supply centers, I'll tell you what those are later, by backstabbing and betraying your allies, which you need to obtain to actually beat other countries. At the beginning of each game, you'll randomly choose which country you're going to pick, whether it be England, France, Germany, Italy, Austria, Hungary, Turkey, and Russia. Each country at the beginning of the game starts with the same amount of supply points except for Russia. They have 4 because they're really big. Each supply point means one army or fleet that you have. Armies can work on land, and they work on coasts. Fleets work on the sea, and they work on the coast. So each army or fleet has the same attack power as any other army or fleet, which means, hypothetically, at the start of the game, everyone is evenly matched. There's no dice rolls or anything. If you want to beat another player, you have to have more armies in a battle than they do, which means if hypothetically everyone in the beginning is equal, then you have to work with another player to beat another player. The game ends when either one person has 18 supply points or everyone left in the game agrees to a draw. Diplomacy is fairly unique in the way where it does turns, where not everyone takes a separate turn to do their actions, but everyone does everything at the same time as the others. Let me explain. Each in-game year has 2 seasons, or turns. There's a spring term and a fall term. In the spring turn, you have 4 phases: diplomatic, order writing, order resolution, and retreat and disbanding phase. Diplomatic is when you get 15, or in your case in the beginning, 30 minutes to negotiate with other players to see what you're going to do in the order writing phase. The order writing phase, everyone sits down, and for 5 minutes, they write what they're going to do the next turn. Right here, you write your country on the front, and everything your troops are going to do on the back. We'll go over how you do that later. The order resolution phase is when everyone puts their cards in the middle and they see what each player's units do for the turn. And the retreat and disbanding phase is when you resolve the orders by destroying units, retreating them, etc. The fall turn is the exact same as the spring term, except there's a capture and gaining and losing units phase, where you actually subtract the amount of units that you have for the lost supply points you've had during the turn. This doesn't apply during spring term, as you only gain or lose a supply point during a fall term. For when you're writing your orders, there are 4 things that your units can do. They can hold, they can move, they can support, and they can convoy. Let me explain what those are. First one, hold. Hold is simple. All you need to do is, holding is basically just doing nothing and staying there. Standing your ground, not doing anything. You can write an order for that, or you can just write nothing. Either one. Move, that's when your unit moves or attacks into a territory. You would just write the location of the army and then where it's going to go on the card. I'll have a little piece of paper with all the directions on it on the day of. Support is when how you actually win battles. You use one army to support another army into another territory. This would happen by saying, hey, this one is going to support this into Belgium. When you're supporting, you need to specify when you're writing what the supporting unit is actually supporting, because you can't just say, well, this supports this, and then it can go anywhere. You need to specify, oh, this is supporting Army Ruhr into Belgium. And then there's convoy. Convoy is when you use, let's say, this ship to make sure that an army can pass over a body of water. So let's say Fleet North Sea convoys Army London to Norway. And that's how that would work. And another tip for when you're placing your units. When you're using a fleet, there are certain tiles where you have to specify which coast the fleet is placed on. Let's say Spain, right? There's a north coast and a south coast. An army would be able to move either way, but because a fleet couldn't just move through mainland Spain, it would have to be specified if it's on the north coast or the south coast. This obviously, you can move on to either depending on where, so if you're in Gascony, you would only be able to north coast, Marseille to south coast, This is only present in 2 other tiles right here in Bulgaria. You got the South Coast and the East Coast, and it's St. Petersburg. You have the South Coast and the North Coast. There's my dog. Yeah. That's most of what you need to know. That's the basics. But the most of the complexity in this game comes from resolving orders. So there's this nifty 22 rules to help you solve orders. And I know what you're thinking, Michael, that's too many. But I'm going to go over the most important ones. If you want to pause, here's all the rules. Or you can look online to see orders. I'm going to put my dog shoes stretched. He's very cute. I love you. Okay, blitz round. Rules 1 through 3. Number 1, all units are the same strength. That means no unit is like more powerful than the other. Number 2, only 1 unit per province. That means I can't stack them like this. They have to be in different provinces. Okay, see, separated. Room for Jesus. Number 3, when 2 units go into the same move into the same territory with the same amount of strength, they do what's called a standoff or a bounce. Okay, that means they go back to their original provinces. Okay, if this happened, let's see, in Belgium they would just go back. But if this one isn't like moving and this one's moving into it, this one would stay in the original province, this one would go back to rear. Okay, now here's one of the most important mechanics of the game: cutting support. This means that an army or a fleet can attack a supporting unit to stop the support action. Let's say that Army Picardy is supporting Army Burgundy into Belgium. Hypothetically, Fleet English Channel, if the English were allied to the Germans, could attack Picardy, causing a standoff and cutting the support, meaning that this will be a 1 versus 1 and a bounce. Cutting support can also be convoyed, which means Army London could technically be convoyed, do a standoff in Picardy, cutting support. You can also hypothetically cut convoy lines. Let's say Army London wants to go to Brest. Hypothetically, the Germans could use their fleet to attack the English Channel, causing a standoff, cutting the convoy, making sure it stays in London. Now, a dislodgement happens when the attacking army has more supporting units than the defending army. In this case, the French have more supporting units than the rear, which means that the German army is going to be dislodged. Now, a dislodged army cannot affect the any of the tiles that are attacking it, so you can't cut support for a support that's attacking you, but it can affect other provinces. Let's say the British army wants to convoy here, and the German army has orders to go to Belgium. It would cause a standoff here and then be dislodged. Those are the most important rules of the game, and there's a lot more, like how two armies can't switch places without the help of a convoy, but this video is already getting long, and you've probably clicked off already. But if you haven't, thank you for watching. I'm really happy to have you playing Diplomacy with me. This is one of my favorite games of all time, and I'm really thankful. So, see you there.